I'm excited for the HIPAA talk. Yeah, should I do that right off the bat? Or should I wait? People misunderstanding HIPAA is one of my favorite topics. Yeah, holy shit, I'm losing my fucking mind. Let's do the HIPAA thing now. Okay, here it is. Of all the people that I thought would not speak out of turn on something like HIPAA, Sam Cedar.
You didn't have to wear a mask. It was not a full class. It was like by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a really crazy experience.
I don't know if it's HIPAA because restaurants are doing the same thing.
I would be surprised if it is HIPAA because if you...
All for.
I forgot my breakfast this morning, so that talk is driving me crazy. Emma, a couple of weeks ago, so I have my cereal as like my snack and my hard-boiled egg. Your gym and masks. Mine just emailed saying so. Emma, a couple of weeks ago, I asked about your gym and masks. Mine just emailed saying that as of today, someone had both shots. They can work without a mask. Yet, because of HIPAA, they aren't asking to see a vaccination card. Instead, we're on the honor system.
When I told my work about my doctor's appointment tomorrow, I accidentally violated HIPAA. Whoops. Guys, let me tell you who is subject to HIPAA. Okay? It's people like me. People who work in healthcare, who see people's patient information. I can't give any information that could lead you to know what patients my facility is seeing. I cannot do that. Like, I come across a lot of funny names that I would love to talk about on stream, but I cannot because that would be against HIPAA. HIPAA is not something that pertains to you as far as any information that is given by you outside of a medical facility. You sign a HIPAA release form because we need your permission to send out that information. Because we are the ones who will get in trouble for us. Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna clip this out for here. Let me mark it real quick. Like I'll be a little behind, but I'm gonna clip this out. I'm gonna put it on YouTube because God damn it, this needs to be told. If you read your HIPAA paperwork, it only pertains to medical providers. I can break HIPAA. You cannot. The government cannot because they are not subject to it. Stores cannot. You can't use HIPAA to get you out of answering a question of whether or not you're vaccinated or not. And in fact, if you're so worried about it, guess what? The government already violates HIPAA if you actually believe that that's the thing. Because there's such a thing as a vaccination record, which is kept on everybody by our government. If you think that they don't, call them up and find out. They know everything you've gotten injected into you. There's a reason why we are trained to learn about HIPAA, and you just sign paperwork giving us permission to share your information. There is nothing in HIPAA that restricts anyone from asking you anything about your health. It's all about if somebody asks me about a patient's health, I can't tell them without your permission. Or if they're next of kin. Or if they're listed already in your paperwork as someone that you are completely fine with releasing information to. This is not difficult. This is reasons why we have patients' charts the way that we do. We're often hiding very specific things on it. We're keeping them off to the side of the desk so people can't walk up and just be like, oh. It's the reason why a lot of doctors' offices, like you'll see in the lobby area, the receptionist will have these like special screens where you can't see anything on the computer screen unless you're directly in front of it. Otherwise, it's blacked out. It's up to us to maintain HIPAA because we are subject to it. We are the people who need to hold it up. It was passed for us to protect you. A restaurant that you may work at or that you're just going into to have a dinner, it is not breaking HIPAA if they ask you if you're vaccinated and ask you to provide proof. It's not. Not even remotely. Doesn't have anything to do with that. Same thing with the mask bullshit, which, by the way, there is no medical condition that doesn't allow you to, that doesn't stop you from that stops you from wearing masks. There's no medical condition that stops you from wearing a mask. None. There isn't even one. I used to say if you didn't have ears, and then I realized they make those little clips that go around your head. But there is no restriction medically that disallows you from wearing a mask. People with COPD wear masks. People who are on oxygen tanks will wear masks when they're in certain areas. Doctors wear masks all the time. You can work out in masks. You ever look at a ninja and be like, man, they sure can't breathe under that mask. They must be dying under there, doing a bunch of physical activity. Yeah, he's having fun. He likes to scream. I get so mad when people tell me they can't breathe in a mask. I have asthma. If anyone can't breathe, it is me. Yeah, my dad has COPD. He wears a mask in public, and he's vaccinated. A dude on the elevator said, I have asthma. My neighbor replied, I have asthma too and COPD. Put your mask on. Yeah. Yeah, when I used to work the door at this place before, they moved me up to billing, there were people, being an asshole is a pre-existing condition. Yes, and we can't hold being a asshole against you, but we can force you to wear a mask. But like I had a lady come in once who I said needed to wear a mask, and she says, "Oh, I have a condition." I go, "No, you don't." She's like, well, how do you know? I was like, because there isn't a condition you could possibly have that would make it so you couldn't wear a mask. She's like, I get claustrophobic. And I was like, ma'am, we're a doctor's office. We're a fucking doctor's office. And I just hand it to her, and she starts to put it on. She goes, They don't work anyway. So yes, they do, ma'am. They absolutely do. Ask your surgeon. How is that relevant to wearing a mask? Because they think that if they say they have some vague breathing condition, which they always say it's a breathing condition, it will get them out of wearing a mask, but it doesn't. The claustrophobia thing, because it's like encasing your face. Which I somewhat get because, like, I don't like wearing masks that cover my whole face. That freaks me out. Tell them, good, stop breathing. I can't go that far. I still have to make sure that I keep my job. But I can get tough with them. I can't get as tough with them as I used to be when I used to work at a 7-Eleven in the middle of Flint. But, I can get tough with them. I'm used to it. We're not asking you to squeeze your whole body into the mask, yeah. But yeah, there is something to the claustrophobia thing. But even then, it's just like you're going to have to deal with it. You're just going to. My neighbor who has COPD and asthma is also super claustrophobic. She's been a mask wearer since the beginning of the pandemic. Yep. Threatening to squeeze someone's whole body into the mask. Yeah. God, oh man. If we were cartoon characters, I don't know how many times I would have done that by now. And then I would have blown them up by dynamite. So, do we have any questions about HIPAA while we're still on the subject? Because I'm just so fucking tired of hearing non-medical people talk about HIPAA like it's this magical thing that's supposed to spare them from all responsibility to do things that are supposed to make sure that you don't give other people the virus. It's not this. You shouldn't even know barely what HIPAA is. You shouldn't even know enough to say this protects me from having to say these things. Like I could even ask you what condition it is, and you have to answer me. You have to answer me. You know, if I'm working at a building and I'm restricting your access based on things like you wearing a mask or not, you have to tell me. You can't say, oh, it's HIPAA. No. It's HIPAA if I tell that person over there your medical information. I can talk to you about your medical information all the fuck I want. And you're giving it to me. I can't then go outside the office and talk about your name has this condition. I can't do that. That's HIPAA. That's against HIPAA. So HIPAA is when health. I swear to God. People's misuse of HIPAA like this reminds me of when people ask, are you a cop? You legally have to tell me. Yeah, oh boy. Oh, I didn't even get to Sam's comment.
Feel like that people who don't like wearing masks are the type who will lie, including one guy who once claimed he didn't have to wear a mask because he was a veteran.
Well, I went to a yoga class the other day. It was my first time in a really long time. It was like a very emotional experience, I gotta be honest. And they did require to show your vaccination card or the Excelsior pass, and you didn't have to wear a mask. It was not a full class. It was like by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a really crazy experience.
I don't know if it's HIPAA because restaurants are doing the same thing.
I would be surprised if it is HIPAA, because if you can volunteer to show, you can volunteer to show your
and I know Equinox is not that I can afford to go there, but the Equinox, the fancy gym, they're
no problem.
Requiring vaccinations, and you can, I think, still go if you haven't been vaccinated, but you have to show proof of your vaccine card to not wear a mask.
I was at a bar the other day. We were outside.
Yep.
There was four of us, and
I
we were
was
the
like,
only ones
wow.
outside. It was freezing, and we were the only people outside. But in the bar, there was a vaccinated and non-vaccinated section of the bar.
Wow.
And there was you just had to basically, it was honor system.
Do other states have the pass, like, you know, if you have an iPhone, there's an Apple Wallet, you know, situation where you can put your vaccine card on your Apple Wallet. I don't know if other states have it, but New York does.
But yeah, I really did not expect Sam to get it so wrong on this. You're going to do the honor system, don't bother. Absolutely. But the thing is, they're not backed up by law. And that gets a lot of high and mighty assholes, you know, thinking that they can be brave against them. See, here's the other part about it, okay? Businesses can restrict your access to their business. There are trespassing laws. They are backed up by law. They can tell you to leave for whatever the reason they want to. They can tell you to get fucked. Hey, the free market, baby. Free market. You know, if you decide, if you're like, man, I don't like why they kicked me out of here, I'm going to hold a big thing and I'm going to make sure that they don't get as much business, then yes, you're free to do that. That's your right to do that. It's also their right to tell you that you need to get the fuck off their property because it's private land. That's private property. They can tell you to get out. If you don't like it, you don't like capitalism. And you know what? Welcome. Welcome. We'll teach you so much more. I'll teach you about HIPAA so you stop misquoting it. But no, it is not against HIPAA for a business to ask you whether or not you're vaccinated or not. You would be willfully sharing your information. You are not going to be held. Big headed Sam, thank you for the follow. You are not going to be held accountable for HIPAA. Neither is the business. I don't know how many times I can say this, but HIPAA has fuck all to do with you walking around to businesses and refusing to say whether or not you're vaccinated or not. You can willfully share your medical information with as many people as you want because you already gave yourself the permission to do so. When medical staff start working, we have to sign as part of our like tax paperwork and everything a consent to follow HIPAA. And it's listed right in there. What you don't show, what you don't give out, what you don't talk about outside of the place. I wonder if schools have any contribution to this. Parents who like to make sure the other kid gets taken care of because their kid would never hit anyone. Because schools often tell those parents, sorry, we cannot share any information about the students because of HIPAA. But that breaks a little authoritarian mind. I have never heard that. As far as I know, they can share whatever information they want. I don't think schools are under HIPAA. I think there are different laws though, regarding things like counselors investigating. Like Kenzo would be able to answer this. Like counselorship, and if they see signs of abuse, like they don't have to give that information to parents. To me, it seems pretty straightforward. You aren't vaccinated. You're a danger. Yeah, exactly. My son ain't vaccinated because he can't. So anyone who tells me, "Oh, you're vaccinated, you're fine. You should be walking around without a mask," no, fuck you. I don't want to bring it home and give it to my son. I know it's a reduced amount, but I don't want to give it to him. You kidding me? Schools are only allowed to share information regarding your child. Oh, yeah. I think that's a different thing. I don't think that's HIPAA. Because HIPAA is the health information portability something act. God damn it. In my district, the nurses and psychologists are only ones bound by HIPAA. Your really? Oh, in the school. Okay, yes. I mean that makes sense because they're medical. We are all bound by other laws. Thank you. Yes. If I remember, schools use HIPAA as well. At least I always get told that. They're lying, but you know they're subject to other laws. They're probably using it as like a sort of like a common phrase that everyone kind of knows what it means. They didn't have to get into like their specific law, which people don't know about. They know what HIPAA is. My son had a bunch of incidents at school, and they never tell you who else was involved, but they tell you what happened. Yeah, they did that with my parents a lot too. And then me, I would be like, it was him. If they're lying internally. They tell me this as an employee. Really? That's weird. No, it's not technically HIPAA unless you're medical personnel. It's related directly to medical personnel. To HIPAA for individuals. This is the thing that most people are going to be affected by. Learn your rights under HIPAA, how your information may be used or shared, how to file a complaint if you think your rights are violated. Your rights under HIPAA. Learn. Here, let's do this. Right to access videos. Right of access infographic. So that's things like like X-rays and things like that. All right. HIPAA general fact sheets. Who must follow the laws? Health plans, including health insurance companies, HMOs, company health plans, and certain government programs that pay for healthcare, such as Medicare and Medicaid. Most healthcare providers, those that can conduct certain business electronically, such as electronically billing your health insurance, including most doctors, clinics, hospitals, psychologists, chiropractors, nursing homes, pharmacies, and dentists. Healthcare clearinghouses, entities that process non-standard health information they receive from another entity into a standard, i.e. standard electronic format or data content, or vice versa. In addition, business associates of covered entities must follow parts of HIPAA regulations. Often contractors, subcontractors, and other outside persons and companies that are not employees of a covered entity will need to have access to your health information when providing services to the covered entity. We call these entities business associates. Examples of business associates include companies that help your doctors get paid for providing healthcare, including billing companies and companies that process your healthcare claims, i.e., the company that you work for, that you are paying for your healthcare by, that they provide their healthcare plan through. They cannot share your information for what they are paying out for the health insurance. They can't share that because there is some. This is the Hobby Lobby thing, where they didn't want to have to pay for women's birth control because they're assholes. Who is not required to follow these laws? It's not even about like who's not required. It's not about required. It's more about who's subject to these laws. Like that's a better way to put it. Like healthcare professionals and everyone listed here are subject to these laws. Like Uncle Tim down the street telling somebody that you had diarrhea last week is not subject to HIPAA. He's just an asshole. Companies that help administer health plans, people like outside lawyers, accountants, and IT specialists, companies that store or destroy medical records. Who is not required to follow these laws? Life insurers, employers, workers' compensation carriers. Well, it used to be employers, but now the whole Hobby Lobby thing kind of ruined that. Most schools and school districts, many state agencies like child protective service agencies, most law enforcement agencies, many municipal offices. What information is protected? Here's the key. Okay? Information your doctors, nurses, or other healthcare providers put in your medical record. Conversations your doctor has about your care or treatment with nurses and others. Information about you in your health insurance computer system. Billing information about you at your clinic. Most other health information about you held by those who must follow these laws, which is medical staff. So, if you call up to any medical office and ask if so-and-so is a patient, I want to make sure I get this right. They can tell you they go there. I think. God, I'm trying to remember. This is a tricky one. Hey, Riot Girl, good to see you. Happy Pride Month. It's a tricky one with this one. I think they can tell you that they go there, but they can't tell you why. And they can't give you any other information. They can't tell you when they're going to be there or anything. It's either that or they can't even tell you that they go there. It doesn't matter what you say over the phone. There's no other information that you can give unless you can prove that you are the party that has already been released by the patient to provide that information to. There's permissions that have to be signed in order to share any health information with any other person. Unless you're a minor. And even then, there's some ways to get around that as a minor. And if ever you feel like a doctor went above and beyond his rights within to share your information with somebody that you did not want them to share information to, that is a violation of HIPAA, and you can hold that doctor accountable. But the person that they shared the information to is not held accountable for being told that information. Going back to what I said, the only people that are subject to HIPAA are medical employees. The people who are victims of people violating HIPAA are patients. Therefore, you enter a building, they ask you you're vaccinated or not. Not HIPAA. You have to answer or they can tell you to get fucked. Legally. Because they have a right to refuse your service. They have a right to ask you to leave their private property. They have a right to do all of that because they're protected under different laws that have nothing to do with HIPAA. But your doctor walking up to that store, like let's say your doctor's in line behind you, and person says, "Oh, you need to wear a mask," and the doctor says, "Oh, they have blah 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 blah. That's why they're not supposed to wear a mask." That doctor just violated HIPAA. Also, he lied. Let's just be clear there. He lied. There's no medical condition that it gets you out of wearing a mask. None. Also, my dad, HIPAA is a pretty good law that does what it's supposed to do. Absolutely. It's just misquoted by a bunch of people who just don't even bother to try to understand. Okay? So, any other questions regarding HIPAA? I mean, there's so many different ways I could tackle this. I really want to look into the thing. Glam, since you're here. I always forget this. When somebody calls into a facility, can you tell them whether or not somebody is a patient or not? Or are you not supposed to tell them even if they're a patient? I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to tell them even that they're a patient. And then you not supposed to tell them? Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. Yes. So you call up to any place, any sort of provider, and say, oh man, is Uncle Frank? Does he go there? They can't tell you. They can say, I'm sorry, sir, I can't give out that information. I just can't give out that information because we can't. There are people that I know personally who are about to start going to my physical therapy center. Like, I'll talk to them when they get there. One of them, I almost did it. But there's friends and others that I know that are I'm making their charts right now. I'm checking their insurances right now, and I can't tell anybody. I can't go to my parents and say, hey, this is when so and so is going here, because if they know them, I can't go to other friends and say that. I can't do any of that. I can approach them directly and be like, hey, I saw your chart, I wish you luck on that. I'll see you around there. You'll see me walking around. I have a little secluded office out in the middle of nowhere so you'll barely see me, and that's usually where I stay. But I'll give you a wave every time I pass by. I can do that. I can talk to them directly because I'm the provider. In this case, I'm part of the provider, and they're the patient. There's no outside party being subject to that information besides other patients that also are protected under HIPAA. That information just can't leave that building to people who have nothing to do with that patient or do not have the written permission by those patients to hear that information. It's so goddamn simple when you learn about it, but people just want to use it as a get out of jail free card because they just a toxic masculinity. Not gonna say it. I'll just say they don't like being minorly inconvenienced, and it incenses their very sensitive ideals while they pretend that they are very tough people. How about we do that? I'm trying to get better about calling people the P word. The wet ass P word. I just it makes me uncomfortable when I do that. I once saw the file for someone I knew when I was working at an EAP program. I didn't read it or tell anyone, but it felt really weird just seeing their name on the file. Yeah. And because you worked for that company, under that category, you are subject to HIPAA. You can't get that information out to anybody. If you do, you violated HIPAA, and you can be held accountable for it. In that instance, you run in the few instances that can be prosecuted for that. And good on you for not doing that. It's quite a thing. Like, one of the people had already said on Facebook that they're going to my clinic because they said it publicly. So my parents know, but I can't tell them when, and I can't tell them why. I can't do that. They can't. HIPAA has some real teeth too. Oh God, yes. All the laws that like this is why I say that medical workers are held more accountable to their actions than police. The amount of laws that are used to protect patients from things like doctor malpractice, any sort of malpractice or sharing of information, any sort of medical misconduct is not only held with you will never be able to work in this industry again, but also you could go to prison or be fined thousands and thousands of dollars. It is insane. There's no fucking qualified immunity. How about puff pastry as the new P word? I'll have to remember that. Remind me when I'm about to say it, and I'll say puff pastry. Yes. Those people who do not want to wear masks and who want to bitch about vaccination records are just puff pastries. They're just giant puff pastries. Big, gooey, sopping, moist puff pastries. Ugh, it drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely nuts. Like, it makes me sad too. It makes me sad because, some armchair asshole from BFE, Michigan thinks they know more about HIPAA than actual medical professionals who's had to take multiple courses. Do we understand what HIPAA is? Because I really, and you can tell, you can spread this around. Please spread this around. If you ever hear anybody talking about HIPAA, there's a very easy way to dismantle that argument. First, ask them if they're a healthcare professional. Second, follow it up with, all right, are you sharing a patient's information? If they say yes, because there will be a lot of assholes who be like, yeah, and think that's their get out of jail free card. No, because you're sharing your information. You're being asked to share your information. Through giving that information, you're giving permission to share that information. Duh. It shouldn't be a thing that should have to be said. But duh. If you're choosing to give that information, you gave permission to do so. That like fucking bar or store or whatever can ask you for that information. Because they're not subject to HIPAA. Because they have certain requirements for people that allows you to enter their business. And they can make whatever rules they want for how you can enter that business. There are bars and clubs that have dress codes. But I don't see anybody bitching about that. Oh, that's against HIPAA. No, it's not. That's not against HIPAA either. If private businesses want to tell you that you cannot enter a place, you cannot receive service from them unless you meet these certain requirements, they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to tell you to wear a mask. They're allowed to ask if you're vaccinated and to prove it. And if you refuse to do so, you can't say shit about HIPAA. You're just being an asshole, and you don't get to go in. So fuck off. Either you find a way to participate in society properly, or fuck off. So going to watch this clip on stream and talk about it because I've been told we can't question if people are vaccinated or not at the gym due to HIPAA. It's infuriating. Yes, that's not a thing. They are a private business. They can ask that. They can deny you service for that. They have the right to refuse. Every service worker, every worker has a right to refuse to do the work for a customer if they decide they don't want to. For whatever reason. You might be punished for it later for various reasons, but they have a right to refuse. And, companies have a right to say, because they own that property, to tell you to fuck off and get out of there. They could call the police and say you're trespassing. They could do that. Learning the law is crazy important. I will totally agree. Using law inappropriately and thinking that some armchair fuck off douchebag from Missouri who wants to go into a gas station without a mask because he's a big boy and he thinks he's super tough. Wear your fucking mask. Follow the rules of that private business. The client has a right to say, I don't wish to disclose in the business, and say, then I don't wish to serve you. Exactly. They can say, well, if you're not going to participate with our rules, you have to leave our property. Another thing that happened when I used to work the door, I had a guy who absolutely refused to wear a mask, and he told me that God would protect him. And I said, well, God doesn't work here. I'm like, you have to wear a mask or you're not going to be allowed to see your doctor. Because he was there to see a doctor that day. And he tried to go on through, and I told him I would call the police if he did. I asked him to leave. Later on, his doctor came down, and he asked me about it. And I was worried. I was a little worried. You know, he's an older guy. You know, I don't know this guy, old white guy. You know, you get worried. You know, oh, you got a fucking Trump sticker on your car. I don't know. He comes up to me. He goes, So what happened with this patient? And I told him. He goes, if he ever comes back and does that again, tell him I won't see him. Tell him he will not even be allowed to step foot in my office. Even if he gets past you, if he steps foot in my office, I will drag his ass out of here. Like, you tell him I said that. Like, I will not put my staff in danger. I refuse to do that. We take this seriously here. We're a doctor's office. I've seen a lot of dipshits wear masks in the stores, but pull them down while talking. Oh, God, that drives me nuts. That and the fucking... My brother has a name for it, dick nose. He calls it dick nosing. When you have the nose out of your mask. Like, oh, it's hot in there. Oh, I can't breathe. Oh, no. You can breathe. Yes, it's hot in there. Deal with it. Like the dick nosing. I heard him say that one of the times we were hanging out with him. I started laughing. Because he's more confrontational than me. He told me he's flat up gotten into people's faces and almost gotten in fights. And this is my oldest brother. He's the more measured of us. But he's still got my family's anger problems. Ask my TV about that. Oh God. That is better than chin diaper. I like chin diaper. You know, this is why I have so many problems with the CDC coming out and saying this shit about, you know, oh, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear masks in public. They should have never done that. Because then that puts the onus on the businesses, and then there's a lot of dickbags who weren't wearing masks before who now think they can go into the store without a mask and you can't question them. With chin diapers, chuds already call masks diapers. Yeah. I like dick nosing. Dick nosing is great. He phrases it too. It's like, yeah, there was just dude just walking around dick nosed out, and I'm like, what? Hey, HIPAA. I was like, what did you say? He's like, yeah, dick nosed. He's like, you know, when they don't put the nose under the mask, and I'm like, I just started dying. It's so good. But yeah. Me, I just get away from him. Because, like, I mean, first of all, he lives in an area that's much nicer than mine. He doesn't have to worry about people pulling guns on him or meeting him in the parking lot with 5 other people. Flint can get rough. Me, I just go. Not gonna start a fight in the grocery store. Yeah. Oh man, we get loaded the dick nose on that one. We're co-opting that phrase. Yes, that's beautiful. I love it. That's the whole spiel on HIPAA. Like, don't listen to people who clearly don't know what it is. Like, always ask them if they're a medical professional first, and by, you know, they're gonna say yes because they're idiots. And even if they are, they're using it improperly. And then ask them if they're sharing other people's information. A patient of theirs information. Because if they're not subject to HIPAA. Now it's just a random mix of people wearing and not wearing masks. No idea who's vaccinated and who's not. I'm just embracing the horror. Oh, yeah. What did I say? 2 weeks? So we're at about a week and a half, and we'll start hearing about another surge. Count it. Went to Tulsa, Oklahoma to visit my family this weekend. Nary a mask in sight. Yep. Most workers were wearing masks otherwise. And that also gets into the fact that these people have no respect for service workers. Just get me my Big Mac, god damn it. You die because I'm not wearing a mask and I give you the virus. At least I got my Big Mac. Make sure to get my McFlurry. My family in rural California say literally nobody wears masks. Yeah, I'm seeing less and less masks. I'm just glad no one harassed me for wearing one. Oh, I'm ready. No one's done it to me yet, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go the fuck off. Know exactly what I say. They're like, I have a 7-month-old son who can't get vaccinated. You really want to tell me that me walking around without a mask and carrying it to him is safer than me wearing a mask and making sure that it's less likely for me to do so? Maybe think about that. Maybe think about whether or not you care about your kids who can't get vaccinated. There's no respect for anyone. Nah. Except their authoritarian daddies. I will start a fight in a grocery store over that. I keep my mask on. My kid, she sees these masks on and is like, Dad, what the fuck? My niece and nephew are traumatized from pandemic. You know? That's the scariest thing. Here in Florida, they plenty don't wear a mask, but they are wearing a smug look on their face, like we're the losers. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about that is the narrative there is that DeSantis actually did a good job with COVID. No, the fuck he didn't. Wait till you see the real numbers after the cover-up is exposed. Oh, we're gonna be finding out some shit. Like fucking I'll say it again. We're a lot closer to 1 million dead than people think. Because the problem wasn't over-reporting. Problem was under-reporting. Florida's flagrantly spiking their numbers. Yep. And people are like, oh, DeSantis is doing a good job. No, the fuck he isn't. He's just pretending. He's giving you information that makes him look good and getting rid of the information that makes him look bad. That's it. And if you want me to say, oh, Democrats, Andrew Cuomo did that. Yes, you're right. Oh, Governor Whitmer did that. Yes, correct. Why do you think I'm going to defend them? I think they all should be in prison. Okay. Yes, that's all bad. Pointing out that other people did a bad thing doesn't make it good. And doesn't mean I don't get to complain about it. In fact, I'm complaining about them too. Problem is, DeSantis was extreme in what he did. He had someone arrested for it. When Whitmer does that, I'll condemn it. Just like I condemn her for changing the nursing home numbers, just like Cuomo did. And she gets no pushback on that. But she did. Absolutely she did. And Cuomo didn't get much pushback until he was caught with his dick in the jar. They cared a lot more about his sex scandals than they cared about him hiding the deaths of thousands of people. I don't want him to be governor anymore. I don't want Whitmer to be governor anymore. I don't want them replaced with Republicans. But I don't want them to be governors anymore because, yes, they shit the bed in a lot of ways. They did some good things. Whitmer did a couple of good things. I'm able to go to college because of her. Nice, cool. Great, grand. It'd be a whole lot nicer if those people were still alive, though. Or at least we knew about their deaths so that we could react accordingly instead of pretending like things are better than they actually are. Anti-masters think they're brave, noble crusaders standing up against tyranny. Yeah. And if you're one of those dickheads waiting for your chance to speak, no, you're not. You're a puff pastry. Yes, puff pastry. That's what we're sticking with. John James is the Republican pick. Mr. Airhawk himself. Oh, John. Oh, yeah. In Michigan. Yeah. That fucking idiot. Man, we could have had Abdul El-Sayed. I keep thinking about that. That dude's still doing good fucking work. El-Sayed would have been an amazing governor. Can't have nice things. Conservatives try to show terrible Dem elected officials in our faces, but they don't realize that we're communists, not libs. To them, libs are communists. I mean, communist socialists, yeah. Yeah. Like, I remember, what was it, last stream when someone was like, hey, wait, I thought I was in a liberal chat. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Not at all. Mm-mm.